Hi, car friends. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the fluids that you need to keep an eye on to tune up and maintain your car. Now, there's the right kind of fluids to keep your car maintained. We have oil, we have our coolant, power steering is down here, brake fluid, and no, there's no blinker fluid needed. Over time, the contaminated fluids can actually wear down the internal components of your engine. So it's a rule of thumb to make sure that you have regular interval changes and following your manual guide. You can save a lot of money in the long run by changing these out on regular intervals. But if you need some help, you can stop by your local AutoZone and they'll be able to guide you. So let's get started. The first fluid we're going to cover today is your engine oil. It is super important. This is what lubricates all of those moving parts in your engine. But over time, it breaks down. It gets contaminated from all of the heat and the pressure. If you're going to change your oil at home, you're going to want to make sure to pick up the right weight and also an oil filter, because that oil filter is what's capturing all of those particles from your engine. The bottom line is to change your oil in regular intervals because it's going to save you a ton of time and money. Now we're going to talk about coolant. Coolant is super important because it keeps your car from overheating in the summer and freezing in the winter. But like any fluid, this is going to break down over time and you're going to need to change it out. You're going to want to go to your local AutoZone and pick up the right coolant for your car that's recommended by your owner's manual. Make sure to mix the coolant with the correct amount of water or pick up a pre-mixed product that's ready to go. And if you decide to flush the coolant yourself, you can always check out the coolant flush and fill guides online. Now we're going to talk about brake fluid. This is one of the most important fluids on your car because it helps you to stop. And if you don't have that, well, there's a couple different fluids that you can use, .3 or .4, which are hygroscopic. What is hygroscopic? That means that it absorbs the moisture in the air. And once it keeps absorbing that moisture in the air, it's actually lowering its operating efficiency. So it's super important to change out that fluid and bleed your brakes. I am actually going to check on this car. I'm looking in there. When it gets kind of dark and muddy, that means it's time. It's been contaminated. I need to make sure to bleed my brakes. And if you want to bleed your brakes yourself, check out the link below. Now we're going to talk about automatic transmission fluid. Your transmission uses friction packs along with gears to operate. Well, you need some fluid to regulate that friction. In time, all that heat that's created, it wears down the internal components of your car, and then it contaminates the fluid. And I always recommend to follow the manufacturer's recommendations on what fluids and filters you should use. I would check the transmission fluid on this, but this one, unfortunately, is underneath, so I can't show you. But if I went to check it and it was brown, I would change it. Now, if I went to check it and it's muddy and kind of smells burnt, I am not going to change it. That's when you need to go to a professional and get a professional's recommendation, and they'll tell you how to proceed. But as always, consult your owner's manual and make sure you always check on the right change intervals and the right fluid you should use. Now we're going to talk about power steering fluid. Power steering fluid gets contaminated over time, which impacts your power steering pump. With that, your wheel gets harder to turn, and you don't want that. So you want to make sure that you're changing this on when it's recommended or on a regular basis. You can always go to your local AutoZone and talk to one of your AutoZoners, and they will tell you what fluid you need to use. The inside of the reservoir has marks that'll tell you the min and max of the fluid, so you always want to make sure the right amount's in there. And that's about it. Now that we've gone over all the fluids in your car, you know how important it is to maintain and keep checking on those on a regular basis. And make sure to watch our other videos for more tune-up tips and tricks. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.